Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new YouTube video. And today we're going to be talking about my story as to switching to young adult to adulthood and the transitions and different things that I feel were very, very important and what made me the woman who I am today. And so, yeah, for those who don't know, hi, my name is Demi. I eat, sleep, and breathe all things personal development, self love, things of that nature. It's something that I just love to do. And so, yeah. So the first thing that I have on my list, I have bullet points because my brain sometimes just moves way too fast. So, mastering boundaries is something that is so important and something that I realized that is like the number one pillar to my life. If I did not understand what these were, or if my parents, they didn't really explain these things. Most of these things I learned on my own. And yeah, most of the things of personal development and things of that nature, um, I expanded in my own. Like I would hear about it somewhere, or my parents would mention it, but I would just go and discover it, more in depth on my own. And so, with that being said, mastering boundaries are something that protects you. And when I say protect you, I don't mean that you have to say it and then it protects you. No, it protects you before you even say anything. And that is something that is very, very important. And if you guys don't know that about my monthly snail mail subscription to, help you know what boundaries are, things of that nature, those are going to be a topic in the upcoming months of my snail mail. You can check it out on my QR code and my communities tab there. And shout out to all of my current followers and new followers. Thank you so much for liking this video and supporting my page. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So, yeah, boundaries is like your gate, right? And so let me tell you guys a story of what boundaries is not in my own personal life and what I thought it was. These little conversations I would have with people, like I would tell them, hey, no, don't do that. Don't say that thing. That triggers me. Don't do that. That's too loud. Like, don't call me right now. Like, answering the phone and saying, hey, I'm not busy right now. That is not, it's not a boundary. And it's okay if you didn't know that, because it took me a minute to realize that too, that boundaries are something that is like, boundaries are your gate. Like, think of, like, I don't know if it's a technical term or whatever, but when people say that, like, this is the boundary line, like when you're out of bounds at a basketball game or on the football field, when they're out of bounds, they run out of bounds, right? So when somebody runs out of bounds, the person blows the whistle, right? And nobody really tells you that you're out of bounds. You're just simply out of bounds, and that's just what it is. It's the exact same thing. So when somebody is out of bounds with you, you don't go and explain why they're out of bounds. The whistle is blown you're just out of bounds. Nothing is said, nothing is explained, no over explaining your feelings and how you feel when you did this. No. So that is the first thing that I wish I can get a hold of. Like, people can tell you to have boundaries all day long. They're like, oh, well, you just don't have boundaries. But, like, what does that look like? Right? So, boundaries for me look like, for instance, with like family members or just like anyone who had access to my phone number, my phone stays on do not disturb most of the day because that is the boundary. Like, I don't take unsolicited calls. If someone is to leave me a voicemail, I will call them back within reason. When I'm available, I will call them back because I'll check my messages, I'll look at my messages, and it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a job calling me. It doesn't matter if, like, my cousin's calling me because they have an emergency. It doesn't matter if family members calling me and they have an emergency. I can't save them. And that's one thing I had to realize. Like, you can't save everybody. You have to give them time and space to save themselves. Or maybe they can find someone who doesn't have boundaries to do that. And it might seem harsh, but that's the harsh reality of adulting and being a grown adult. Right? So, for instance, I know it's like some people have this thing where, they say family is everything, but you have to make sure you still have boundaries because that protects you. Because let's say if you overgive all your time and then you're listening to them talking about all of these different things that have nothing to do with you and your progress, and over time you just feel very bogged down and drained after every conversation. Well, guess what? If you spent an hour on the phone with that person, or how much time you spent, you can't even get that time back. And that is time out of your life that you decided to waste because you didn't have a boundary set up. So now you're wasting all this time. And maybe you have a lot of people in your life who just call you unsolicited and you just listening just to listen. And I also had to ask myself, why am I making myself available for this? Am I afraid to be alone? Do I have like abandonment issues? Like, what is actually coming up? Why am I staying on the phone with this person? Is it out of fear of lack that I won't ever have a conversation ever again? And is that realistic? So it's these little things that I think that if you live alone and if you are by yourself, that like you're alone and you're lonely. One thing that I realized for myself is that loneliness is an illusion. Loneliness, it's impossible for you to be alone because you're here with yourself. Like, really sit with that. And if you need to just sit with that every morning and just like, say this, because this is what helped me. I am never alone. It is impossible for me to be alone because I am here with myself. It is impossible. Like, I am safe. I am never alone. It is impossible for me to be alone. When I say, and this is a realization that I came up with recently, and this has worked in so many more ways than one, because I would notice that like I would stay on the phone longer than I actually wanted to, and I just wanted to know why. And I'm a very curious individual, and I realized there was an illusion behind like me staying on the phone. I'm thinking that this conversation isn't gonna ever happen again. Like all of these limiting beliefs that were coming up, and I'm just like, well, that's not true. It's not true that I'm never gonna have a conversation with this person again. It's not true that it's just coming from a place of lack. And where I am in my life is I'm not ever living from a place of lack. So that had to go. And that is what I do. So this is very powerful stuff. And so, yeah. So also another thing was wisdom. The wisdom that my parents taught me finally started to click as I made it throughout my 20s. In so many different ways. Like the whole men only want one thing, but the expanded scientific, philosophical, evolutionary history reason why, like biologically, like psychologically why, like when I got all of the whys, I got all of the whys in every possible industry, educational field. This is who I am. When I want to know why, I'm not just looking at religion. I'm looking at evolutionary history or somebody who studied it, the psychology of it, the neuroscience of it, the biology of it. I want to know why on every single level, because as I started to put the pieces together, once you get the full picture, it further solidifies why this wisdom is what it was and why it is so important. Like all of the different rules, if you I looked at them in every single subject possible because I wanted to see if they would line up. I wanted to see what everyone else had to say, and in a way, they all aligned together. And so the wisdom just clicked. So I'm not really going to get deep into all of that, but like saving is very one of the most obvious and light ones that I can talk about, like saving and investing, like my father would tell me, different saving and investment strategies. And now I'm just starting to see like how important it is, like for retirement, for being able to pass things down generationally to your kids and your mission in life. It also helps you think in the future, like what do you want to leave here when you leave, just making you think realistically about your life and where you want to be. And I realize my parents are also telling me this because they have lived some of life too. Now, I'm not saying take all of their advice, but take the pieces that resonate and do your own research from there if you weren't given the whole thing. That's just what I did personally, and it's worked out for me greatly. Um, but yes, and then creating your own lifestyle. And I will add integrating the things that my parents taught me, because you don't want to lose. Or if you didn't have a parent like that, follow someone who is like a true healthy parental figure and just do your research, because that's what I did. Whatever like I felt like I was missing, I would go and find it somewhere else. Like it's everywhere. Like all of the things that I think that I am missing, all the education, all of the wisdom and all that stuff. And since we're in the the internet and things of that nature, everything's on the internet. So it's all of these people willing to, and open to giving their wisdom. And it's like deep, good stuff. And you just take the pieces that resonate and move on with your merely life. Because that's what I did. I took the pieces that I wanted for my life, and that is what I'm doing, and I'm applying it to my life. And yeah, that's one thing that I started to realize, like not being so left side versus right side. I'm more of, okay, I'm just gonna go this way. I'm not gonna go left or right. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go diagonally. I'm gonna go diagonally this way, this way. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go back a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back and go forward. Like I'm gonna do my own thing. That is what I am doing, and it has been working very, very well for me. And yeah. So that is what I do. It's worked great for me. Um, yeah. So my switch to adulthood. Another thing that came up was just like throughout the process. Obviously, I'm over it now, but like the unforgiveness that I had of my parents, of them, um, what do you call that? You know, the things that they didn't teach me, being mad about it or being angry at them for not knowing. It's like they didn't know. Like, what? Why are you mad at somebody because they just did not know? You can't be mad at someone because they didn't know. That's like being mad at the ice cream bar for making you overweight. Like, they don't know. Like, you decided to make that decision to eat the ice cream bar. I don't know. That was a very odd and polarizing thing, but like, just look at how silly that is. Just look how silly it is. When you stop playing the blame game and started taking ownership, that's what that's about. Taking ownership of eating the ice cream bar. Take the ownership of, you being where you are now. Like, you're not a child anymore. You're not a kid. And so you can't blame anyone anymore. It's all on you. And that is something that I realized very, very quickly. And yeah, that's worked for me for sure. Forgiving my parents and forgiving anybody who I felt like wronged me and like pointing the finger and like, yeah, I stopped doing all of that and started taking accountability. Because when you start taking accountability for your life, oh, so many things, so many beautiful things happen once you get there. So, yeah, the power of letting go. That's definitely something that I've learned. What else? Creating my beautiful life. The life that I desire, not the life that my parents desired, not the life that my teacher wanted for me, not the life that my exes wanted for me, not the ones that, I don't know, maybe even past me wanted for me. Like, it's that deep for me. And so, yeah. Um So that entails what that looks like is like my lifestyle. What does my dream life look like? Is it realistic? Is it matching up with who I am being now? And if not, what am I willing to do to get there? And if you're not willing to do that, then are you okay with the consequences of staying where you are now? And sit with that. Truly, sit with that. Because something, this worked for me because where I was some years ago, I was thinking about like my dream life, what it would take to get there, what was my personality, what did I want my children to know and be aware of. Did I want children? Did I want a husband? What kind of husband? What kind of job would he have? What would I have to be to attract that kind of person into my life? What kind of job did I want? What personality does that take? What skill set does that take? If I want to start a business, do I have sales skills? Do I want to work on those? Do I, and then if something gets in the way, like social anxiety, depression, all that stuff, what am I doing? Are we going to go and get a therapist? Are we going to go and try hypnotherapy? Are we going to go and do other things? Are we going to go to the gym? What does your dream body look like? Are we willing to do the work there? And what is the consequences of staying stuck to where I was? So where I was then, I was, as of now, back then, I was 65 pounds heavier. Now, I did that for future me, which is me now. I was 65 pounds heavier. And I feel like I was 65 pounds heavier. I was 60 emotional weight heavier. Like, so much has happened throughout losing that weight. I lost emotional weight and physical weight during this process because I was going to therapy. I did EMDR. I did so many different things. Somebody who was licensed, somebody who, was really good at what they did and got straight to the point. They didn't coddle me. Because, every therapist isn't created equally. So, vet who you want to be over your mental health, because that's important too. We can't go blaming something if we didn't properly vet it. So that is something that I definitely realized too. You can't blame things if you didn't properly vet the situation and pick the right person that works well with you, right? Because just because they're a therapist or just because, they're a salesperson and they sold you a phone doesn't mean that that was a real phone, or, that was the best phone for you and that was the phone that matched with your lifestyle, or, you know, same thing, different subjects. So, um, yeah, it's very powerful. So, like I said before, if you guys are interested, I highly recommend to looking into joining my waitlist for my monthly subscription mail. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to help you keep you on track with your goals, no matter what. Like, for instance, like 1 month we could be going over forgiveness, and then the next month we could be going over boundaries, and then the next month we could be going over excitement, and the next one we can be going over the emotion of love. And like every single month will be based on like a certain emotion or a certain theme, but mainly emotions, because and it's going to be, you pouring into yourself, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to have a lot of cute stuff in there, but it's going to get, you know yeah, so it's just going to take you on a journey every month. You're going to be recovering pieces of yourself. And even though you think that, oh, forgiveness, why are we working on forgiveness? But when I tell you, I thought I knew what forgiveness was until I started doing the actual work to forgive people in my life, and my life changed in other areas. Like when I started thinking that like I wanted to work on love, like I started making more money, or I started attracting better people in my life. And like, it's like the area that you think that you're focusing on is not what you're focusing on. I don't know. Like, when it comes to like personal development, working on yourself, becoming that woman, what you think you're working on is working on other things in your life. For example, I'll share a quick story so we can get back on track of what lifestyle looks like. Well, I guess this is a part of lifestyle, but when I started getting on a treadmill, eating the things that I knew worked for me, and just getting really serious about my health and eating in moderation, and just like, getting over the whole binge eating thing, that created emotional discipline. What? Like, I didn't even think, that that was the thing that was going to help me with like my emotions. I did not know. Yeah. So whenever you walk into something, definitely always be open and come in with an open mind. Don't be expecting like you to have this and get this result, because that also can like make your results not happen because you're not being open. When you're open, you can get it almost anything and everything. When you're closed and closed minded, you're not really going to get that much. Okay? So, yeah, lifestyle, yeah, knowing what your lifestyle is and is not, and adopting certain practices, that, was passed down to you, or leaving them behind. Just doing what resonates with you and doing it and going all in. If you're going to do this, you got to go all in. You can't go half and half with like adulthood. That just does not work. I've tried it. And you just end up going back and forth all the time, losing results and gaining results, losing results, gaining results. You just end up starting over and over and over again. Like, it's like a video game that you've been playing for 10 years, and like you know all the moves, and it's like you're not growing. Yeah, it's one of those. Um yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for liking and subscribing to my channel, and I will see you in the next one.